Okay, it says I'm live. Let's see if it's lying. Morning, Gulch. Good morning, Cheese Bear. Squatch, what a shock to see you here. And in my background. Good morning, Cheese Bear. Good. Everything is supposedly functioning this morning. We'll see. I would love to say Happy New Year, except, well, I don't like to lie. Y'all know how I feel about lying. Oh, shit on a stick. I forgot the lights. See, that's what happens when you wake up a half hour late. Oh, okay. Today I got a few things to carry. Cover. And you may hear some noise in the background because, for whatever reason, my computer is running videos without me asking. Fortunately, I shouldn't have to run them. There we go. Full bore. Oh, yes. All right. So I'm going to hit on the first requested subject quickly. It's been asked that I address the Jack Murphy situation. Fuck you. I don't know enough to know what I don't know about the Jack Murphy situation. All I know is he was on Elijah and Sydney's channel doing an interview in person. Something was said that set him off. He stormed off set with a fuck you. I have seen that clip, so I do know what I know there. And it all just sort of exploded. He says he apologized later. Sydney says not to me. Okay, all right. That both statements could be true at the same time. And then a couple days later, some unfortunate photographs of him turned up on the internet. And he's been hated by everybody since then. Okay. That's it. That's everything I know about it. I know everybody's got a past that they're not always proud of. I know that there's a pornographic video of me out there, a little revenge porn by a nasty critic of mine. I'm kind of over what he did in his past. I'm not entirely sure what he did in his present. I know there's more to the story than just the version I heard, which was Sydney's, by the way. And that's all I can say. Yes, Alpine. My then girlfriend asked me to turn on the camera while she wasn't talking a whole lot. Then she uploaded the video to a Facebook group so she could prove to the group what kind of person she really was. How do I put this? She wanted to prove how hard she could go. And I suspect another member of that group who really, really hates me personally took the video and uploaded it to a porn site. Well, okay. I'm over it. It's not like people don't know the kind of person I am behind closed doors. Yes. I believe that's correct there, Gulch. The choking. I didn't know anybody knew particular details of what happened. I know it's out there, and I'm over it. Um, and kind of who cares? I don't. Sorry, if you're going to unsub me over one video that was supposed to remain between me and my girlfriend, yeah, please do. Done is done, and I'm over that. And apparently, some people have seen it. Well, sorry, Gulch. No, Squatch, I've already started. You're late. You were early and late, which is strange. Moving right along. Here's everything I'm going to say about Jack Murphy in one sentence. His past is done. I'm over it. His current actions are relevant. He's got a lot of apologizing to do to some people. Not just Sydney either. Right. And he's got some things to deal with. All right. That's it. That's everything I know about the situation. With a little bit of luck, you'll never hear those three names at the same time out of my mouth ever again, because I don't want to address it. All right. One man's patriot is another man's traitor. You notice this sweatshirt I wear for the winter streams. As soon as I get the t-shirt version, I'll be switching around a little bit more often. But until then, this is the uniform of a patriot, right? Wrong. This was the uniform of a traitor. British subjects who rose up against the crown, whether for money or ideals or otherwise, to break away from Britain to become the United States. One man's patriot was another man's traitor. And there are times when you have to be both at the same time. Oh, geez, it was sweet of you to be here at all. Moving on. I am perfectly comfortable with the dichotomy, I believe is the right word, of having to be both a patriot and a traitor at the same time. I am an American patriot. All right. I served my country. I have nothing to apologize for. Even the less savory things I did in the service, I have nothing to apologize for. And then sometimes, even as a patriot, I have to do some things that I'm not supposed to do. Like tell you that I was exposed to Saddam's supposedly non-existent chemical weapons. You know, the ones that CNN keep telling you never were found. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The news story is that a couple of thousand now old shells were found buried in the desert where Saddam was trying to get rid of them. No, he had fresh new chemical weapons. Now, a little flag on the play. I was not exposed to the chemical weapons themselves. I was exposed to the waste product from the manufacturing of these chemical weapons. Part of the problem is they don't know exactly what concentrations of what was in those canisters because Saddam would put everything, well, Saddam's manufacturers would put just sort of everything into the canisters and hope that they could burn it off later. You know exactly what the US government did. We had a lot of stuff we found that we needed to get rid of. So we just burn it in these huge open pits and not be sure what's in it. Where do you think they got those burn pits from? Where do you think they got the idea for those burn pits from? From the Iraqis themselves, having already done it. Some of it was taken off to the side to be taken back to the US for testing. Some of that broke open one day. That's what I was exposed to. And they don't know what the concentrations of VX versus sarin versus ricin versus God damn it, phosgene gas versus whatever the rest of the shit was. They don't know what the concentrations were. The stuff was just put into barrels. Fill it with one thing, fill the next barrel, it's not full. Well, you know, we got a couple tons of VX crap lying around. We'll finish the barrel off with that. There, I just committed treason, and I'm okay with it. Sometimes you got to be both at the same time. Gulch, I have what I have. I don't even have my Bluetooth today. So it is what it is. I'm sorry. You need to know this because you need to know that certain parties have been lying to you. And I'm talking about CNN first and foremost. They've been telling you for the last 19 years that Saddam didn't have chemical weapons. They are lying. The Bush administration admitted that they never found the chemical weapons that they were looking for. No, they didn't find. That's when the line between a lie, a ruse, and the truth kind of blur. And I hate lies, and I acknowledge that sometimes those lines are blurred. The Bush administration never actually said we found the chemical weapons we were looking for, because they may not have. I don't know what some soldier in Iraq actually did or did not find, other than the stuff that's been publicly admitted to. So that's not a lie, but it is not the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth is they did find the residues of chemical weapons manufacturing that was not stored, that could have been from other chemical processing, because they found methamphetamine residues as well. Those were identifiable. And it's also known, Saudi Arabia, I believe it was, filed a complaint with the United Nations in 97, I think it was, about how Saddam was smuggling methamphetamine into Saudi Arabia and getting their people addicted. That happened. All right, so we know this. You need to know the truth. Yes, he was doing it. No, we could never really completely prove everything. So certain parties went out of their way to not tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help them God. And amongst them was George Bush Jr. He was trying to protect probably France from the international complaints that would come from, or international sanctions that would come from having smuggled chemical weapons components into Iraq. He did not want that kind of trouble. So, okay, let's just say we didn't find what we were looking for, because we didn't technically find what we were looking for. Well, Gulch, I'm over it. I really am. Certain parties have also gone out of their way to deal with it, the exposure, the best that they can, in order to keep people like me silent. All right. I got to back up the chat a little bit because I know it just kind of exploded on me. Okay, Squatch, this is StreamYard, and it is free service. It's not new. I've had it for about a year now, so kind of confused. Maybe we'll talk about that later. Okay, I'm up to speed. Cheese Bear says, a buddy of mine was exposed to a lot in Desert Storm, I believe it, and came down with Parkinson's. And was the one connected to the other? Possibly. Possibly not. I am not a medical expert. It is also almost always the case that exposure to chemical weapons makes something that would have happened anyways either worse, onset sooner, or both. Gulch, no, the Iraqis were smuggling it abroad for money to come back. And Squatch says that there were new terms of service that came out in December. I must have missed that. But you know what? I'm over it. Listen, I don't do this on a professional basis. Okay? I'm losing money being here. I could be at work. So I must have some other motive. And with that being the case, it's not like I'm making money at this. I have to take what I can get. Cheese, I believe you. I do. And I don't believe the VA under any circumstances, so that doesn't help things any. Oh, did I remember? Yes, it did. Moving right along. Sometimes to be a patriot, you have to be a traitor. You have to make a decision to break an oath, to keep a secret, because people need to know the truth. You should see me spurg out about the M2 one day. Okay. Oop. Wrong. All right. Breaking news for me this morning. Some Seattle Police Department officers got into, what should have been a little bit of trouble. They supposedly faked radio calls between each other on standard police channels, knowing that these channels were being listened into, talking about Proud Boys marching in Seattle during the Chaz Rebellion. Okay. They were talking about something that they knew was not happening in order to provoke the rioters into action that they could have done something about. How do I put this politely? Fuck you guys. You gave up the precinct. You gave up all of the confidential informants. You gave up the murderers and rapists that you had in custody back there. Turned them back loose on society. You gave up that entire district. And then you want to whine about what they're doing in the district. Fuck you. You're on your own. You did this. Deal with the problem you made. Yes, that was an anti-cop rant out of Mandrake of all people. You made this problem happen. So, deal with it yourselves. There probably will be no punitive action against the ringleaders because they have since left the department. Certainly, the department can't do much to them. There might be other actions that can be taken further down the line. Yeah, and I'm talking about the criminal system. Will it go anywhere? Probably not. It's probably a closed subject because the cops fucked up. They absolutely, totally fucking failed in the middle of a riot that was so bad that the National Guard should have been called in. The National Guard should have been there waiting for them because we all knew this was coming. Well, plug on play. I was up in the mountains that week. I did not know this was coming. But Seattle knew that this was coming at least a month beforehand. Seattle Police Department knew roughly a month beforehand. The governor knew the month beforehand. Why was the National Guard not already there waiting for them? I don't believe any excuse they're going to give, so let's move on past that. I don't know. And it's sort of like two monsters at each other. You know, Hitler or Stalin, really it's kind of Mussolini or Hitler. Who do you hate less? I don't see the case going very far because it's pretty clear the Chaz rioters were much, much worse and became even worse later on. The Cheese Bear and Squatch are talking about exposure to chemical weapons in the chat a lot, and it's true. There are some doctors that still think there's no connection between Agent Orange in particular and later issues. I'm an absolute firm believer that exposure to chemical weapons makes problems either onset earlier, onset worse, or both. I absolutely believe that. And I believe I will get cancer or something someday, probably in my late 40s. Partially because I was told that that's a real probability. Love you, Susan. Okay. To be perfectly blunt, I'm okay with the cops being allowed to walk this time because they fucked up in the face of a situation where they were overwhelmed. They should have gone down fighting and they chose not to. And that's my continuing problem with the Seattle Police Department there. Even when the battle's lost, keep fighting because at least then you can take a few with you. On some related notes. Okay. I'm going to do a screen share here, which means I got to stop the chat, but I'll bring it back. I promise. Windows. Okay. I seem to have accidentally closed that window. Let's try this again. This is something I found. Let me see if I can get that a little bit smaller so you can read the whole thing. Okay. Well, guys, you're just going to have to trust me about what this says. Or at least the last little piece. Oh, wait. Okay, there we go. Ha! You learn something new every day. I don't understand why we're not overthrowing the government. I'm tired of bitching online. The Declaration of Independence literally gives us this right. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, derived from their powers. I can't even read the rest of this. I can't do that to myself. Okay. Calling on other people to do something that you're not willing to do yourself is no. I have served. I know that if a second civil war does break out, none of you are going to walk away from this thing unscathed. I know this. I accept this. When it comes, I'm not going to be able to avoid being involved. That's not even possible. Either the service is going to recall me. Really? You discharged me because of my medical issues and you're so desperate you're calling me back? That's obviously very, very bad. Or I'm going to end up involved in one of the little battles somewhere, whether I want to or not. And the sheriff's office already has my phone number. They know that they can call me up. Do not call upon other people to do something that you yourself are not doing. I'm going to go a little bit further. If you can stay out of the middle of this thing, stay out of it. That is your best bet. Go stay at your sister's house or some country backwoods dirt farmer. Anything but a meth lab. All right, don't go stay with the meth cookers. They're actually legitimately bad people. Dangerous people. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. Where was I? It's fanboy Squatch moving right along. I'm asking everybody who can to stay out of the fray. Right? Continue to vote and all that other stuff, but stay out of the fighting. The only thing you're going to do is A, get yourself actually and legitimately and seriously hurt, and B, in the way of the rest of us. %99 of the people out there have less than zero military training. They think my Keltec that I forgot to bring with me, they think that's an assault weapon. For God's sakes, it can't be an assault weapon. I don't even know if I could modify it into one. They think my AR is an assault weapon. It could be modified into one, but take a lot more. It would take more than just showing up. I know the coat hanger trick works, but for the record, I won't put the coat hanger on mine because I don't think the barrel can handle it. Correction, I know the barrel can't handle it because we may have destroyed another upper receiver a couple of about 4 years ago with a bump stock, 3.5 years ago with a bump stock. Just saying. And yeah, Cheese Bear's calling you out too, Squatch. Just saying. Okay. Cheese, hold on to that thought. Because that's not good. Please, for God's sakes, if you can stay out of the middle of that fight, stay out of the middle of that fight on the subject of civil wars and rumors of wars. Kazakhstan is on the verge of a civil war. Probably won't go very far, but it is a worry. And it's not a worry for no reason. It's a worry because that's right on the border of Russia and China, which a civil war there, is it going to expand into a regional war? Is Russia and China then going to go to war over whatever is happening there? It's a great question. Bosnia is on the verge of a civil war because the fucking Serbs are colonizing the place and trying to restart the Balkan 90s conflict. Venezuela, the last I heard from Venezuela is they're still at it. Although the fighting seems to have stopped. I haven't heard anything in over a year. It's kind of strange how all of those kinds of stories disappeared when the Rona hit. I'm just saying. On and on and on. France has a very popular uprising. It's a civil uprising right now. People eating in the streets because they're not about to comply with the insane rules that Macron is forcing. Australia is in civil war, and that's the way it is. All right, people have died already. In particular, a police officer, flag on the play. There's no specific report that the cop in this clip died, but he got trampled by a crowd that is at least 100 strong. There's no way he survived that. It didn't happen. The U.S., we had an uprising a year ago today, that was very violently quashed by the closest thing I've ever seen to an actual wilding, and strangely enough, by the cops. Wow. That's an interesting detail. It'll be about 25 minutes from now before a lone security officer, the 10mm pistol, watched as a woman with a backpack came charging through a broken window. Now, I know everybody says he shot a visibly unarmed woman. There's no such thing. That's a lie. And yes, I just called a couple of people I used to respect liars. And I'm going to probably be hearing a whole lot more about that very soon. She had the backpack, so A, he had no way of knowing whether she had a gun concealed on her or not. B, he had no way of knowing if she had a suicide bomb in that backpack. He may have made an instantaneous choice without realizing it that he was going to die today one way or another. And he turned out to be wrong. It happens. Sorry. So, no, Ashley Babbitt was not murdered. She was killed. She did die. That is true. It was not murder. You're hearing wars and rumors of wars going on as we're speaking. Just saying. Okay, I'm catching up with the chat real quick. Squatch says, I have more of a bug-in plan. Yeah, there is no international plan at this point. All right, they closed the borders. They restricted them pretty heavily. Good luck getting out of the country. Good luck getting into another country. My plan is actually to bunker in here for the first week or so. And then if I have to, at that point, leave. If I have to, and Cheese brings this up, my plan is to drive about 6 hours to Papa Carey's place. If I don't have to, I'm going to stay right here. The word is chart, Squatch, or survey. And gators are not, don't fuck with gators. And that's the reason why I decided against Louisiana. Sorry, gator. I was there for a week, and everybody treated the story about a gator being found a mile inland, a mile from the nearest water body of any sort, as kind of funny. Like, haha, there's a gator in somebody's pool a mile from the nearest river. This is normal. Okay, this might be normal for you. I'm out. All right. On a related note, Squatch, try to remember to email me, or I'll try to remember to email you. There's something you should really see about moats. And no, they don't get the message. They just go away for a little while. Moving around along. Okay. There's all kinds of stories about that. Oh, for fuck's sake. Unfortunately, there was a lot of breaking news this morning for me. And I remember the next one now. Oh, okay. All right. On related notes, there is a little clause in last year's, I think it was, defense appropriations bill to install kill switches in cars. Oh, gee, oh my, how could this ever be abused? Just every single way possible. I'm going to start with the easy one. Spoofing. Guy A has car A. He registers it. Everything looks perfect. And then he sets his kill switch to spoof a different car. So, police car sees him, say, smuggling gun parts across the border. He goes to engage the kill switch, and nothing happens. Why not? Because the guy has a kill switch set to another vehicle 10 miles away, randomly happens to be 10 miles away right now. That car shuts down and creates a 15-car pileup. Meanwhile, he's on his way. It's already sort of happened. And a test on the system, the concept. How do we make this thing work? Well, they couldn't get the right car to shut down, but they were able to shut down 15 cars around it. Not even by spoofing. They'd sent out the signal, shut down, 123 ABC car. Well, ABC car kept running, and the 15 of the cars around it all shut down because they got the kill switch signal, and the one that was supposed to didn't. The system doesn't work. It will never work properly. Oh, yeah, by the way, just cut off the kill switch system. Bare minimum. You disengage the antenna. Worst case scenario then is you don't have an AM/FM radio. Oh, yeah, that. There is no back door that could be built and not exploited for other nefarious purposes. And worse still, you build the back door into the system so that cops can shut your cars down. Great. You put a hallway and lock the door on the back door, put a hallway around the back door, put a door on that, lock the back door so it can't ever be opened, and all of a sudden your back door kill switch system is disengaged. Shotgun approach is to nuke everybody in the neighborhood. You still make the run and everybody else crashes. This has been explored. It will never work, but it's going to happen, and it's going to get people killed. Back before I joined the Guard, when I was a security guard working at a particularly notorious California state office building, the assistant director to systems management, I think that was his title. He was like the third in line for how the computers all talk to each other. All right. Not the internet, but just how computers talk to each other. I was talking to him about this, and he came right out and said, yeah, that's the problems. He came right out and said, these are the problems. You can't make it specific to the one system. If you do make it specific to the one system, somebody can build a doorway around the back door. And even then, if it works at all, the worst case scenario is you pull the radio out of your car. Oops. There you go. Yes, Squatch. I know it's not really a moat. It's river. The functional difference between a river and a moat is sometimes what you call it, and sometimes whether or not it's filled with human sewage or not. I'm sorry. Channel and moat. And yeah, Squash, sometimes you kind of worry me too. Fortunately, I know exactly what to do if I ever come rowing up to your island. In my case, it's just stand up and say, "Hey, Squatch!" If you didn't know my face, you wouldn't. You might not know. Ooh. I should go like a couple months without shaving so you know what my face looks like if I don't shave for a couple months. You know what I look like without glasses? I'm okay there. Oh. Holy shit. I've gone through 2 cups of coffee and I didn't bring tea today. Well, oh well. I'm over it. So, yeah. There is nothing and nothing good about this kill switch plan. I learned this back in the day when I thought this was a great idea. It literally took this computer nerd walking me through it as yes, no questions for me to finally understand, oh, this really is a bad idea? Yeah. No, Squatch, I can't get more coffee just yet because that would mean I'd be away from the screen for about, 10 minutes. Maybe not quite that long. And I don't have somebody in here to cover for me. So, there you go. Yeah, I know. I look like an old man right now. Okay. Computer thing. Sorry, guys. I do not know what's going on with my computer of late. There we go. All right. On to my next-ish subject. I keep the subjects TBD, and I should really keep them TBD because God knows what's going to happen overnight when I wake up and think, oh, well, I'll be talking about this, and everything else blew up last night. But moving right along, apparently last night, or over the last couple of weeks, and I didn't know anything about it, there was a video uploaded to Reddit and somebody else before that. Whoever. I don't give a fuck. I don't have Reddit because Reddit is actually the worst of the worst of the worst. And then comes Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, respectively. But a video of Viet Cong booby traps. And these are some pretty awful, nasty, despicable devices that are specifically banned under the Geneva Convention. Well, terrorists are going to terrorist. This video has inspired shock and awe, or horror and awe. Gee, I wish these videos had been out during the war. Then people would see what kind of humans the Viet Cong and the NVA really were, and know exactly how despicable and despisable those people really are. And we would have never pulled out of South Vietnam then. I'm deeply concerned and upset that it'll take 40 years for the horrors of what ISIS did in Iraq to truly come out. And I already know that it'll take at least 40 years for the horrors of the Taliban's actions in Afghanistan to finally come out. And you know what? That's okay. The sort of people that demanded we pull out of Afghanistan and Iraq are also the sort of people who pretend that that Saddam didn't have chemical weapons, and are the sort of people who pretend, I said pretend, I meant pretend, that the Taliban didn't blow up those two idols, and the sort of people who pretend a lot of things that Iran's mercenaries have been doing for the last 35 years. But you know what? That's close enough. Didn't happen. All right. Yeah, I'm off on an Iran rant again. I'm okay with that. This idea, this continuing myth that Iran has never been guilty of anything in their lives, it's going to cost us all very, very dearly when they do something that we can never prove didn't happen because it happened on live TV. Defense, certain news medias are all excited. Iran tried to launch a rocket, into orbit, and it supposedly failed. First of all, the key word is supposedly. Second of all, so what? Their first attempt failed? Great. The Americans' first attempt to put a rocket into orbit failed too. So did the Russians. And the Germans never actually did succeed until well after the war. Now what? You think that they're going to just give up and go away? No. No. These are the sort of people who strap bombs onto people's chests and tell them to go kill for Allah. Believe me, they say it, they don't mean it. Go kill for Allah. And you think they're going to back down from building an intercontinental missile? No. No. If they do, it will be because they chose to. They did, and I'm going to go there. I think that they allowed this rocket to fail as a decoy. Ha ha ha. Look at the sand. They failed again. Meanwhile, some guy in Tehran's saying, okay, it's hit the point where we know it would work from here on. Send the self-destruct signal. Or, I'm sorry, the course correction signal. And all of a sudden, one little tube blows out. Oh my, how did that happen? There it is. Oh, God. This is what happens when you wake up late, folks. You don't get a shave and you barely get enough coffee. So, yeah. Once again, probably a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. They had something, they realized it wasn't going to work quite the way they wanted it to, but that's okay. Let's do it and let it fail so that everybody thinks we're too stupid to do the job. And now everybody thinks they're too stupid to handle the job. All right, I'm at the halfway mark. I'm out of coffee. My glasses are bugging me. Don't get old, folks. You'll need bifocals. Something's wrong with the chat, guys. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's been moving. No, it hasn't. Okay. It is still moving. Good. All right. I am not ignoring, guys. I am checking to make sure that I have covered all of the important subjects for this week. I did have... Oops. Okay. So I am up to speed. I know he's listening in but not watching. Luke made a couple of specific requests, and unfortunately some of the subjects that he brought up, one of them was literally the first I heard about it, and I haven't been able to find it. Hello, Dragonet. Yes, please do. Dragonet, I did notice that YouTube told me you subscribed. I have no idea who you are. You came totally out of the blue to me. So email me. I'd like to find out who and what you are. And don't worry, I'm not like that. Squatch will tell you there's like 4 people that have been banned midstream. Before that, there were, I think, 3 that were banned. One because he made a death threat against my kids. And in the process, tripped fixed bayonets off so hard that she left an empty shell casing in front of his house. Or his home. She sent me the photograph of the empty shell casing. Okay. All right. Babe, I get it. I understand. And you need to walk away from it with that. Oh. Okay. I'm up to speed. Oh yeah, way. Do not fuck with an Afghan woman. I know what she's really capable of. That was her way of making a joke. Well, geez, anytime you want to, go ahead. If it were up to me, my email address in the About section would not be behind a anti-bot thing. That they don't work anyway. So, what do you want me to say? Okay, we're at the halfway mark now. So I'm just going to start into the 2 every week subjects. Your get home bag. Oh shit, there was something else. My bad, and it relates to get home bag. Last week there was a huge disaster on I-95. I'm not exactly sure how this thing started. It was some sort of traffic accident. I want to say a couple big rigs bumped in the middle of the road and started a 60-mile backup that lasted something like 37 hours. People were stuck in their cars for 37 hours. No food, no water, no nothing. Oh, and a lot of them ran out of fuel. So now they're freezing to death. Now, I'm not going to sit here and second guess the decisions by the cops and the paramedics and the tow truck operators and all that without at least having heard their version of events once, which I haven't. Not only have I not heard their version of events once, I haven't even heard the people behind the trucks versions of events even once. Not fully. So for all I know, everybody did everything as best as they could, considering the situation as it really was. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. But it does underscore just how quickly things can go very, very bad directions. I've often said something about leave your get home bag at your office. Well, no, actually, I kind of shifted about 6 months ago, 6 months ago, to leave it in your car. Well, now we have a real world example of a situation where you would have been digging into that bag faster than you knew what to do with, up to and including the emergency blankets. All right. Even the emergency blankets by themselves would have been a huge improvement. People ran out of fuel to keep their cars warm. This is a bad thing. And by the way, one of the people caught in that traffic jam was a federal congressional senator. Oops. Now he's gotten a clue as to what that's really like from a position where he can do something about it. And all he had, I think, was a Dr. Pepper and an orange for 37 hours. Now, there's a few small stories of people stepping forward and doing things that needed to be done. In particular, there was a bread truck that got raided. A flag on the play. The owners of the bread, the company that made the bread that was being delivered, said, go ahead and do it. So raided, looted, all of that. Very much an exaggeration. But yeah, they stepped up and did the thing, and they were passing loaves of bread down the line, I guess, as far as they could. And good for them. But things can go very, very badly, very, very quickly, and you don't know how things are going to go until you're there. put your bag in your car. And if you work in a building with a parking garage and it's an earthquake, you may not get your bag. That's unfortunate. You leave it at your desk, you're going to have the exact same problem. So it's kind of a zero-sum point, unless you want to carry your bag around with you all day, every day, in which case people are going to look at you kind of funny. Unless you have the little bag that I will eventually get around to talking about. This huge thing is, no. No. The blanket makes it big. And that would be an interesting development. I'll come to that when I get to that point. Either way, have it in your car. This unfortunate I-95 case is really exemplifies why you need to be prepared in ways that you and I would never, ever have expected. I did not see that one coming quite at that level. 36 hours. I really want to hear the Department of Transportation. I want to say it was Iowa's Department of Transportation's explanation for what went wrong. Okay. Good. I got that covered. All right. Get home bag. Gloves. First of all, gloves are handy just in case you're caught in a situation where you are cold. All right. You know, like all those people caught on I-95. But more importantly, well, let me just put this one on so you can see. I've been saying light duty work gloves. I don't have an agreement with this company. I don't know what they think about me shilling their product, so I'm covering the name up. Damn it, I needed to do that. Okay. Light duty work gloves. All right. For doing things like clearing trees out of the road. And that's when I realized I needed gloves. This is about 2 or 3 years ago. I was at Papa Carey's when a snowstorm hit. And it was a really bad one. An area, Virginia, not Iowa. Yeah, it's a north-south route. My bad. An area that does not get snow. Well, it does, but it's usually like 2 flakes deep, and then it's gone in 20 minutes. Got something like 3 feet of snow in one night. Oh, the hell! And then went straight into a fire season, like a month and a half later. So good water management, good forest management there, Gavin. You know how I feel about that individual, but moving right along. That happened. There were a lot of trees down, and Dad lost electricity. PG&E, everybody got overwhelmed. That happened. All right. It's not a blame game. This is the weather being the weather. All right. Those trees were down. So Dad decided, well, we're going in town. We're going to eat there. Okay. Yeah, Dad. It was me and my younger brother happened to be home at the time. I don't know what it is, but my younger brother can draw the worst luck. He asked about earthquakes when we went to Ahia. No, there's not earthquakes here. Sure enough, next day, everywhere there was a 2.0 earthquake Epicentered about 10 miles from where he asked. He goes to Georgia. Fucking Katrina, I think it was, passed through 6 months later. On and on and on. Dad does not ever want him to come home, even to visit. Because while he was here is when Snowmageddon hit. When he was there. So when Snowmageddon hit. Anyway, so trees are down. They're blocking roads. We didn't have a chainsaw, but there was a guy out there with the chainsaw at one point trying to get this tree out of the middle of the road. Okay. We tried to help him, and we did for as long as we could, but we didn't have gloves, so we weren't able to go very long. We went for a couple minutes. Actually, we started switching out at one point. I'd warm my hands up. He'd go and clear trees or limbs for a few minutes. Then I'd go and warm my hands up. I'd clear trees for a couple minutes. All right. Well, that was working. But once we got into town, we noticed our hands really, really hurt. What we didn't realize was that the cold had made our hands numb. So the fact that the bark and the little splinters and stuff were digging into our hands really, really bad. That's the day that I decided I was adding gloves to my kit. You'll notice there's a finger that's exposed. And you're going to say to yourself, oh, I don't want that brand. They obviously wear out quickly. No. These gloves have not been battle tested yet. I'm actually looking forward to it. Battle tested meaning wet and or icy and or snowy conditions and tree limbs. I did this, and I did this very carefully. It took me 3 tries to get it mostly right. It's a little too tight. Squatch, do what you got to do. It's still a little too tight, and I haven't put the over piece on it yet because I don't have another glove to sacrifice. I did this. You can figure out why, but a very simple reason might be so I can use my cell phone. Okay. I gotta catch up with the chat because things moved kind of quickly all of a sudden. Snow in Tennessee is normal. YouTube removed today's joke. Typos are not a problem on this channel. And I think Squatch, when he comes back, will testify. My spelling is very interesting. And wow, Squatch, I if you still got the video in raw form, send it to me. I want to hear this one. The thing about comedians is they're telling you the truth in the worst possible way because you know what? You need to get bitch slapped. Every so often, you really do need to get bitch slapped, and that's the job of the comedian. Which is why what happened to Count Dankula is actual danger to a democracy, to a republic, or to any state. And, oh yeah, there's a reason why kings kept jesters if they could afford to. They needed somebody every once in a while to say, no, Your Highness, you're full of shit. I don't have a comedian on staff, which is why I actually like it when I can go to other channels and watch people show me what I look like to the world. That's a hint, Squatch, when you come back. The closest thing I've ever had so far was one individual. She was not being a comedian. She was being a bitch. I said something about I'd be down for a conspiracies channel on a particular Discord, and this little bitch said, I can see it now. Everything I don't like is Iran's fault. Man, fuck you, you lying little whore. I know not everything is Iran's fault. That's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. All right? Matter of fact, I came out and said something that happened, I want to say over the summer, is not and could never have been Iran's fault. They would have never been in position to do it. I can't remember what it was now. Anyway, yeah. Doesn't matter. Everybody else, I would love to see how I look. I'm just saying. All right, gloves. Toss a pair of work gloves and a pair of at least liners so that you can keep your hands warm and when you need to, protected from trees or whatever it is you have to do to work. The cold is going to do a whole lot more damage to you, a whole lot more quickly than the heat. I know that certain people like the cold better, but the cold is going to kill you before the heat does. Hey, Luke, I was just talking about you behind your back. I addressed your question as best as I could. You're just going to have to back up and check it out. On a related note to I-95, lesson from my life. That's okay, Cheese Bear. It's still in there. You might not be able to see it in the... If that happens, folks, let me know. I have a way to work around it. A lesson from my life from when I was homeless. All right. Over the next week or so, month or so, go out and get one of those 1-gallon bottles of Gatorade. Take it to your desk at work or drink it at home or whatever, and rinse the absolute goddamn shit out of it. I mean hot water. Stand by, guys. I gotta check something. Okay. Cheese Bear was saying something about her comment was removed by YouTube. I'm not seeing a removed comment. And I hope I got the comment in question. I hope I got it. That's all I can say, guys. Oh. All right. Anyway, go out and get a gallon of Gatorade. Drink it at your desk at home, whatever. Rinse it, and then rinse it one more time with hot water. Fill it with water and leave it in your car. When I was homeless, I did this about 5 times. I I'd fill the bottles at the local JC by pretending to be a student. I did have a student ID, so that was easier. And every day I would just go through another bottle of water. At the end of the week, when I'd go back and finally get a shower and refill the bottles, I'd go actually to one building after another, refill the bottles, and go from there. And that was the next week's emergency water. I'm not sure if Cheese Bear is familiar with the term Snowmageddon, but Armageddon comes from the name of a place, Megiddo, which I believe is in Jordan right now. And that's where the final showdown between God and Satan will be held, according to Christian and Jewish tradition. I'm not sure if Muslims believe that or not. Megiddo was on a ridiculously strategic point. Back then, it was obvious there was going to be a battle over this site someday. Today, it's more of an archaeological site. The roads that used to pass through there are just not used anymore. But it has become a term for the final battle, nuclear Armageddon. And Snowmageddon is a term that means when it has snowed so hard that it has done real and significant damage. I hope that brings everybody up to speed. Hey, DJ. And he even spelt it correctly. Actually, I don't know if there is a correct spelling for Snowmageddon. Moving right along. Hear me out before you say no. Try the Gatorade thing. A gallon of Gatorade over the course of a week is not going to kill you. It's not going to cause you a diabetic emergency. All right. Water shortage will cause you real problem real fast. And that's how I survived not just the summer of 2016, but the winter as well. Cheese Bear's pointing out people who live in snow country can handle snow. People who spent their entire life in not snow country cannot handle snow. Squatch would not do well in Iowa. I would fare okay, not great. The interesting part is people coming out of the snow country can handle the non-snow territory even when earthquakes and tornadoes hit. Or hurricanes hit. Although the hurricanes do hit harder. Ask me how I know. And the cold sucks. The cold will kill you much faster than the heat. Gloves, stock up on water in your car, even if it's just 1 gallon, and use it as if it's 1 gallon, knowing that you might get stuck for 48 hours. think about it like this. If you drink the whole gallon in the first half hour, you're going to pee and pee and pee until your brains pee out. But if you take a sip every hour or so, you'll go a good 12 hours before you need to pee again. Think about it like that. All right. Now, I made a mistake. I forgot to open up Dataslav. Huh. All right. Deej, stay home, call off of work. There's just don't go out now. All right. Oopsie daisies, guys. There it is. All right. Wrong one. I'm going to start into Dataslav. I believe I left off with conditional exemptions. Which means I'm going to cover 2 sections today. Because they're kind of short. You know, someday I'm going to have my shit together. Okay, Alpine Goetsch points out water freezes in cars, just saying, and she's correct. So you're going to have to use some sense and caution. All right? That's the best answer I can give. That's the only answer I can give. No, actually, I can give a slightly better answer. Have a bottle of water, small bottle with you. And when you realize you're in shit creek, take the gallon of water, transfer it to somewhere where it's warm or warmer, and work with it as best as you can. Okay, we're going to stop the screen. Excuse me. There we go. And make sure that you can see it properly. You cannot. Close that. Hide this so you can actually read it. One more time, guys, with feeling. Good. Everything's lined up correctly. All right. Elective exemptions. Conscientious objector, any person who applies for exemption as a conscientious objector, having established probable likelihood based on third-party sworn affidavit, may receive an exemption, personal exemption. Any person that, for reasons not listed above, may be exempt upon order of a competent jurist of their abode jurisdiction and upon a payment of $300 per month fee. Such exemption are total without exception. Any person exempt under these sections are totally exempt and may not carry any weapon under any circumstances. Okay. Let's start with conscientious objector. I would never, ever in a million years ask you to violate your faith. All right. Jains do not believe in violence under any circumstances. And thank you. I think it was Squatch who corrected my grammar on that. They do not believe in violence under any circumstances. No excuses. Just don't. All right. I have some other things to say about Jains that are not very nice, but I would never, ever, ever ask them to violate their conscience. Many Buddhists believe in nonviolence. I said many, not all. Many Hindus believe in nonviolence. I said many, not all. Quakers believe in nonviolence. Believe it or not, there was a draft of the Second Amendment that said essentially what I say now, that you shall keep a musket in your home. And I've seen it verbatim once, like 2 or 3 years ago. And that was poo-pooed because the Quakers said no. Pennsylvania's delegation said no. They said no because the Quakers said no. Be that as it may or may not, the one that passed, passed. I would never, ever ask you to violate your conscience. And if I do, believe me, there is a whole lot worse to it than just your faith. Okay, and flag on the play. I'm specifically talking about religions where mostly where women are required to keep themselves covered. In a very hot environment, that'll get you killed, or that could get you killed. You cannot obey God and be dead at the same time. You can run away from violence, usually. So I have to kind of balance this a little bit. Asking you to commit violence against your faith is just a bridge too far for me. All right. Personal exemption. This is literally the people who just say, no, I will not comply. You know what? Okay, great. You're refusing to comply. No problem. You're endangering everybody around you because you're a bitch. That's okay. $300 per month and you're exempt. Coupled to that, though, any person exempt under these sections are totally exempt and may not carry any weapons under any circumstances. If you're saying your conscience prohibits you from violence, then you're exempt from violence, from committing violence. You need to deal with the decision that you made. Personal exemption, same thing. All right. Well, I can't carry a gun, but what about pepper spray? No. You asked for the exemption. You got the exemption. Have a good day. There are people that work in industries that involve deadly weapons. Keep it boxed and cased, or cased and locked. You're a 5-star chef and you ask for a personal exemption. Okay, fine. You can take your knives and other cooking implements back and forth to work, but you lock the box. It was suggested that conscientious objector is the easiest one to get. No. Having established probable likelihood based on third-party sworn affidavit, which means under penalty of perjury, your third party, I should say, is saying, yeah, I had a discussion with this individual, and I really do believe that it is a violation of his conscience to commit violence, and he should be exempt. All right. With the grace of God, go and don't start sinning now. I should also point out that elective exemption or conscientious objection is free. You don't pay. I'm not going to ask you to pay to keep your tenets of your faith clean. That's between you and God. Okay, categories of exemption. Total exemption. A person under total restriction may not possess any item identifiable for use as a weapon. Partial restriction. A person under partial restriction may not possess any weapon. Certain characteristics as ordered by a competent jurist, such as firearm, edged, blunt, chemical, etc. General restriction to general categories or capabilities, such as deadly or ranged. Selective restrictions to specific types of weapons only, knives, pepper spray, etc. Any person under deadly weapon exemption may not possess any item determined to be a deadly weapon except in immediate labor or case. Said case must have a locking mechanism in operating order. Any person under exemption against deadly weapons may not possess firearms under any conditions. Okay. Total restriction. It's very much officer discretion. Is my keys a deadly weapon? Maybe. Depends on the cop's decision on the matter. A Kubotan on a key ring is definitely a weapon. You're not going to pull that one over his eyes. Partial, with certain characteristics as ordered by a competent jurist. Okay, I have a particular actress and actor who used to be married in mind when I say this. They used to play with certain toys while having sex that you don't play with. All right. Either one of their families could have intervened under that section and said, Your Honor, we're asking you take their knives away from them. It was knives, okay? And the judge can actually say, yeah, you two are clearly not responsible with knives. You are not to carry knives in public. And, oh yeah, by the way, we also have a record that the two of you play with knives. So if one or both of you gets stabbed, we know who to start looking at. Certain categories or capabilities, such as deadly or ranged. The same guy who's perfectly fine with brass knuckles may not be responsible with a firearm. Selective restrictions, knives, pepper spray, etc. All right. I would probably qualify for a selective restriction because I am not necessarily the most responsible person with pepper spray. I got this idea in my head that pepper spray only kills under certain circumstances, so I'm willing to spray 5 people to get the one who's actually causing the problem. It's happened before. All right. I did that. That was me. I own it. I'm also perfectly okay with what I did that night because the bouncer says he saw a knife. I saw the man shrug. All right. I'm okay with my actions that night. Okay. Give me a second, guys, while I stop the screen and then switch back to the tab for the live chat and then fix that. Okay. I also know that I'm not going to seek a restriction for pepper spray because I really love pepper spray. It works real good. Sorry about that, guys. Elective exemptions, you as an individual have to go before a judge and say, Your Honor, I'm asking to be exempt for this reason. In the case of conscientious objectors, with the grace of God, get the affidavit, with the grace of God going. Don't start sending now just because we said you weren't in the past. There will always be somebody out there who will abuse a law. This is something Papa Kerry brought up with me when I was in California last week. Yeah, last week. There's always going to be some asshole who, for $50, will sign an affidavit for you. All right? It's called perjury for a reason. He didn't really interview you. and prove he did, or prove he didn't interview you? Maybe, maybe not. I did walk through a scenario where you could prove somebody's lying. And even then, Papa Kerry pointed out, they're going to get away with it. Okay. Well, yeah, they might. We must do the best we can do. All right. There's always going to be somebody who confesses to first degree murder that he didn't even know about until a week later or the next morning, because somebody offered him $10,000 to take the ride for him. That there will always be somebody like that. We have to deal with these kinds of problems as we can, the best we can. Right? And I can foresee that there will be a few people in prison within a year of the passage of mandatory carry because they lied on a conscientious objector affidavit. It is what it is. What do you want me to say? So much easier if you want to go that route. Just get the elective exemption. It is $300 a month. It is punitive. It is made to make you want to think, is it worth the money to get out of obeying the law? Right? Can you pay can you pay $10,000 a month to not wear a seatbelt? Well, you know what? If you can find that law, show it to me. I'd love to see it. All right, we're at minute 42. Start getting some questions together for this evening, guys, because I love those questions, especially the hard ones, like the ones that Papa Kerry asked me last weekend. No, it was the weekend before. Ask me those hard questions, like conscientious objector, conscientious objector. What do you do if somebody just brazenly lies on their affidavit and gets $50 to do it? Oh, and by the way, you will never see my name on a conscientious objector form. Conflict of interest. There's people I know personally who are conscientious objectors, and that's okay. I will call her Betty. Betty does not follow the channel. As far as I know, Betty doesn't even know the channel exists. We met on an adult interest site. I sincerely believe that Betty is a conscientious objector. She's incapable of violence, even in her immediate self-defense. The kind of adult interest site that we met on involves adult interest in certain extreme violence. Okay. The sort of people that love it when you play rough. There you go. All right. I also believe that Betty is incapable of violence, even in her own self-defense, because that's part of how I met her. I would be more than happy to testify that, yes, Your Honor, Betty, I believe, is a conscientious objector because, well, here's how we met, Your Honor. And I'd have to tell the judge the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, even if it embarrasses you, Betty. But I could not sign the affidavit. Well, no, Your Honor. I'm the one that wrote Datislav Act, so I obviously am not an appropriate judge of who should and should not be banned or permitted. Because if it were up to me, Your Honor, she would not only not get a conscientious objector exemption, she would actually be required to carry exactly this and this and this and use them. Don't ever ask me for a conscientious objector exemption. I will do the worst thing possible. I'll tell the judge you're lying. Okay, Cheese Bear asked a very important question. I'm still interested in how you will handle monitoring temporary exemptions. Give me a second, folks. I want to. I'm not going to pop it up in the chat or conditional, because temporary exemptions. I think she means conditional. And okay, because of the width and breadth of conditional exemptions and how very, very different they all are, I need you to be a little more specific about which one. Specifically, who will monitor the continuing validity of the status. There's some that are easy. Domicile exemption. You're within 100 feet of either your home or a place you have a right to be in. Well, that's really easy. What does your driver's license say your home or your residence is? Oh, well, it's not my house. It's my buddy Mandatory Carey's house. Okay. Well, let's take a walk over there and talk to him. Knock at the door, and I say, oh, God. Yes, officer, I know what this is about. Jack, come on in. No, actually, stop there. Yes, he went to the Chevron for a pack of cookies and some beer for me. Working conditions. Generally speaking, it's just what you say. If the cop is willing to go to court and say, Your Honor, he lies, his feet stink, and Jesus hates his ass, there is no way being a road construction worker is too dangerous to carry a gun. That's bullshit. He's welcome to go to court and make his case. Temporary medical exemptions is the one she was specifically interested in. Give me a second. I want to review it. Because, yeah, there is no temporary medical exemption. It is perhaps the maintenance exemption that she's referring to. I refer to it as the hold my guns exemption because they inspired the idea. There's no way to enforce that. And I'll just be very honest with the world. You walk into an FFL, you say, this is my gun, and my sights are off. Or whatever it is. I just need you to hold on to them for a couple months for me. Okay. You may have to pay for the storage fees. All right. It depends on the place you took them to. But that's it. And that's the only thing I can do. And that's the only thing I will do. I've been there. I've done that. Papa Carey came through for me. I would never do anything more than that. Medical exemption, disability, physical disability, is a permanent exemption, mandatory exemption, but you may have to go in front of a judge to plead your case. Hey, look, Your Honor, I'm a quadriplegic. I talk through a machine. What am I supposed to do? Hang a pair of miniguns off my wheelchair? No, no, no. Dr. Hawkins, with the grace of God, go. And don't start sitting now just because I said you haven't been in the past. Yeah, Your Honor, my arms are prosthetics. I cannot handle a gun. Yep, your arms are prosthetics. With the grace of God, go, and don't start sinning now just because I said you haven't been in the past. Your Honor, my client is a vegetable. How is he supposed to do anything? The grace of God, go, and don't start sinning now just because you obviously haven't been able to in the past. Your Honor, my grandfather is bedridden. What's he supposed to do? Swing his old M1 Garand? Lie with it next to him? The grace of God, go, and sin no more. All right, so yeah, the medical exemptions is a mandatory exemption. You might have to go in front of a judge and say, yes, Your Honor, this is the grounds for my exemption, but that's it. And you can always have it upgraded. Your vegetative state subject could one day just wake up. It might happen. Your double amputee may one day get new prosthetics that are a much, much higher capability, and you can start doing the thing. You could upgrade it. People who do have those arise and don't go before the judge and say, Your Honor, I have new prosthetics, or Your Honor, my client woke up in the middle of the night yesterday screaming that it's 1997. This is a 2022 now, but work with me here. Whatever. They don't go before the judge and have their status changed. That's really, really dishonest. Personally, I'm not going to push the matter, but okay. Yes, Cheeseberry is referring to the hold my guns exemption, and you're right. It's written that way. Exactly that way. Yeah. I wrote it that way. I have been there. I have done that. I wouldn't change it. And if you're lying, if you're cheating, you're lying, you're cheating. That's on you. You can live with that. Great, good for you. And no, authorities, not only are authorities not allowed to ask, nor are journalists, but if they do, they will be the one paying the fine. Flag on the plate. It's dependent upon you as the one with the receipt saying maintenance and repair to make an issue of it. If you make an issue of it, people are going to look at you a little bit more closely, or they might look at you more closely. Cop comes up to me. I got my guns in at Joe's gun shop. Maybe my sights really are off, and he's adjusting them for me. Cop says, hey, I know who you are. You're mandatory carry himself. You should have a gun. I even know your serial number. It got leaked on Discord. It's at Joe's gun shop. Really? Can you show me the receipt? Yeah, here you go. Sight adjustment. Before this got passed, you used to use sight adjustment as code for maintenance and repair, turning your guns in because you're having some mental health issues. I know you have some mental health issues. You've talked about those. Yep. And you're right. They're actually being adjusted. Um, they're actually being adjusted. Okay. Have a nice day, Mr. Carey. I go to the police station, the district attorney, my attorney, whatever, and say, I want him fined under HMG. Well, okay, he's going to pay the $1,000 fine. But the police department, the sheriff's office, in my case, the district attorney, whoever, they're going to turn around and take a real hard look at me. Say, huh, why is this guy suddenly so upset that a cop asked, what's wrong with your gun that you can't carry it? So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend making a big issue about that subject. And, okay, Cheese Bear says, without oversight, a party can invoke the temporary exemption indefinitely. There will always be somebody who abuses the rule. There will always be somebody who abuses the rule. And I really, really wouldn't recommend you make too much of an issue out of it. When I asked Papa Carey to take my guns, quote, up to Redding, this is when I was living in Sacramento, he didn't ask a single question. Not one. He said, okay. He gave me a very, very uncomfortable look. He took the guns, drove them up to Redding, took some time off of work. I could have ridden that to this very day. It is what it is. And prove that it's not an actual site adjustment issue. I know that there will be people that care that abuse everything. There are people that have never paid $1 in taxes in their life and live like kings. Robin Colcourt, for those of you old enough to remember that series, as a multi-billionaire and con artist, paid himself a salary as the president of his company, $1 a year. He paid $1 in taxes. And no, DJ, I think M134s are not a good idea. Maybe that new microgun, the 5.56 one. How about that? All right. No, that's a bad idea too. And I'm not sure what modern caisson. I'm not even sure what that word is, nor what it means. Okay, guys, there it is. The recommendation has been made before. The answer has to be no. I would not allow somebody to be shamed. It took me a year to recover fully. Actually, well, that was 2003, and I've never fully recovered. And somebody who is not recovering as well as I am might not want to have. No shame, no shaming, nothing. I'm not willing to go there. It stands as is. And if you're willing to pay storage fees for the rest of your life, that's your problem. I hope those storage fees are less than $300 a month. The last thing I would be willing to do, and I've said this before, is I was suicidal at that point. I know it. The night before, I asked Dad to take the guns up to Reading. I'd had the 9mm in my hand. I was looking down the barrel and said, I was marveling at how pretty the bullet was down that barrel. Oh, okay. I would never ask somebody to admit that publicly. Yeah, geez, relax. I know Squatch is going to verify that, yes, I've said that before. It is what it is. And I would never ask somebody to say that out loud. And Deej, I think you're misspelling caisson. I'm pretty sure. And no. No. Come on. All right, guys. We just went 1 full minute over time. And according to StreamYard, it means I'm 1 minute and 38 seconds over, which means I started right on time, which means there's a lag. It is what it is. Okay, DJ's sticking to his spelling. Maybe I've been spelling it wrong all these years. Well, we all know what my spelling looks like, so. Moving on. Where was I? The elective exemptions are very easily abused. I know this. I'm okay with it. You're willing to commit a felony. Oh, by the way, in the process of getting caught for your felony, you're going to get everybody else caught. You committed the felony. There's no way they came to you not knowing. That's on them too. Although I might go back and revise it accordingly. Conscientious elective exemption. Just go with an elective exemption. All right? Just pay the fee. If you got to go there, go there. You think $300 a month is a lot? Imagine this. I wanted it to be $1,000 a month. Oh. Actually, no. I take that back. For us commoners, it was going to be $1,000 a month. Once you hit a certain income bracket, 6 digits, it would be 10% of your monthly income. Once you hit another tax bracket, the 7 and above, it was going to be 20%. Oh. Do you really? Oh, and by the way, it is not tax deductible. Every other thing is tax deductible. You got a conscientious objector, you get no benefit one way or the other. You got a free exemption, go and sin no more. You have a felony conviction, you paid everything else. You get no benefit from it because there's nothing to benefit. All right, go and sin no more. You have a medical exemption, okay. So maybe you get a financial benefit. You definitely get a financial benefit for obeying the law. You can take that off on your taxes. Hey, I had to spend $30 a month to be part of a gun club, or I did spend $30 a month to be part of a gun club. I spent $200 this month on ammo. I spent $1,500 buying a new gun. And you can take that off on your taxes. Hey, all right. Okay. I believe that's addressed under other clauses, section 11. Conscientious elective exemption. You don't get to take that money off. So you're still paying the income tax on the $300 you didn't see. I'm just saying. All right. Guys, there will be another stream today at for fuck's sake. Can't believe I always forget what time my own damn streams are. The morning stream is easy. It's the afternoon stream that I always suck at. Right. Uh, 0100, 1700. 0100 Universal Time. 1700 my time. Bring more questions. And I want to make sure I'm crediting this correctly. Yeah, Cheese. I will try to address your concerns a little bit more. I admit that there is no perfect answer there. And I'm okay with that. All right. And if you email me, I should be able to at least address the concerns. Maybe not to your satisfaction, but I can at least start to look at scenarios that I may not have thought of. Guys, at very least, do that much. All right? Or ask questions, because at very least, it does that much. Papa Carey pointing out that somebody will exploit for profit, worse still, conscientious objector exemption. Give me $50. I'll sign anything, right? A scenario that I actually had thought of, he didn't know I had. That's okay. And how do I address that? Well, at some point, the court's got to step in and say, no more. In the meantime, everybody, remember 9017 is coming. Natural disasters are happening anyway. 9017 is coming. It's probably coming sooner than you thought. So keep calm and mandatory carry on. Oh, hi DM.